Welcome to Rob and Rob 1976. Okay, so last night was Thursday, and Rob and I have an appointment Thursday at 6 and Sunday at 10 to hang out, to work on the car and do stuff. And originally when I spoke with him about hanging out, I told him I could teach him some things about how to have a better attitude and he would have a better life. And would he be interested in that? And he said yes, he would. And so the last few times that I have gone over to his house, he has not been there, not told me that he had an appointment that would last a while, or when he was there, he would come to the door, block the doorway with his body, just this glum look on his face. And I didn't feel very welcome at all. And I would go in and try to visit with him anyway, but it was challenging. So last night I went over. Again, he was in a bad mood. I went in anyway. And I did a little skit with him. I said, okay, Robert, you come out onto the porch. Here's what we're going to do. You pretend that you want to go to someone's house, someone that you are really looking forward to seeing. Let's pretend that it's your dad. You're going to go see your dad. And I'll pretend that I'm your dad inside the house, and I know you normally walk in, and so this time, for some reason, the door was locked, so you'll have to ring the bell. And so you're so excited because you have this Thursday at 6 o'clock appointment to see your dad. And so, okay, you're on the porch and I'm going to go inside. And so I shut the door. And he knocks. And I didn't answer. And I waited. And then he knocked again. And I opened the door like he had been doing to me, blocking the doorway with my body and looking like I was in a bad mood. And he was taken aback by it because when I set the whole thing up, I was in a good mood, and then when I opened the door, it was like, what? And so he was surprised, and he says, well, I said, well, what? You came over to my house, what do you want? And he was like, oh, forget it, never mind, I'll see ya. And so then, okay, I broke character, brought him in the house, and we went into the kitchen, and I was chatting with him. And I said, this is how I feel when you do this to me. You let your moods control you rather than you controlling your moods. And so if something has happened to you during the day or days before or at school or whatever, before I show up, then I just get whatever, like aftermath of a terrible storm, because you don't know how to be the commander of your own feelings and your own reactions to things. And I said, this is how you can get yourself into trouble, is not having command of yourself. And you can teach others, like your mom and your dad or students at school, how to do this as well, if you would practice and learn it yourself. And he was super fidgety. He was pacing the living room. He was fiddling with this toy. He was really nervous that I was telling him that he had hurt my feelings and made me feel not very important, and that I wasn't going to put up with that treatment any longer. And so he said, well, I don't care. You could just leave. And I said, well, I'm not going to leave. And then Lori, his mom, came into the room. And I was really surprised and kudos to you, Lori. I was so proud of the way that you really took charge of the situation. And so Lori had come into the room, and with her eye contact to him and her she said, you just can't go around treating people like that. You need to be more respectful. Stop being so rude. When someone is trying to help you, you need to be more favorable. Stop being, so nasty. And of course he was defensive. But she, stuck to her guns, and she said, now you sit down and apologize to her. And he says, well, I'll apologize, but I'm not going to sit down. And so they chatted a little bit, and then finally he did sit down, and we were able to talk some more. And then the cat walked by, and he picked up the cat and put her on his lap, and he was petting the cat. And it was awesome that his demeanor softened. He was still, kind of feeling like he was getting a lecture, and he didn't really want to be sitting there listening to all of my wisdom. And but he was calming down. It gave him something to kind of distract him, so that it wasn't so just he and I sitting looking at each other across the table. And so then Ron, my husband, comes in, and Ron used to have angry outbursts. He was too rough with the kids. He would punch a hole in the wall. He would break pictures hanging on the wall. He really had some anger issues, and when I sent him to an anger management class, he really got mad at me. Well, anyway, but the thing is, I kept at it with him, and I said, you know what, I've got to protect the kids, and so I am going to have to leave you if you keep this up, because I can't trust the kids being home with you if you lose your temper, and you might think that you're just grabbing them by the arm and taking them to time out, but you could break their arm. You don't realize the strength that you as a large grown man has, especially when you're upset and your adrenaline is flowing. And so over time, because we've been together 24 years or something now, he did take that to heart. He has really worked on it, and so I was hoping that he could shed some light on this for Robert.